Welcome to the J.D. Levy and Associates Calibration Point Podcast. Our podcasts are designed to bring a conversational exploration of key topics that we believe will provide value and insight to those serving in the nonprofit sector. We will highlight new developments in the field, latest research, and things we're learning from our own clients that we can share. If there are topics that you would like to see explored, please send them to us through our website at jdlevyassociates.com.
Welcome, everybody, to today's podcast show, The Calibration Point. And we have a new guest with us, Dan Schaefer, who is the President and CEO of World Gospel Mission. And Dan is going to bring some unique perspectives to us as CEO of an international organization who has naturally had to navigate a lot of diversity, depending on what country they have staff in, from health issues to civil issues to economic issues that all come together on a regular basis for their teams. And this year, having this whole kind of focus of the pandemic, I thought it would be good to have Dan come on and share about how an organization moves from just surviving in a pandemic with all of the uncertainties that we've seen in 2020 and moving into 21 into an organization that thrives. And we're going to spend some time just letting Dan share with us what are some of the things that he has learned leading such a large, diverse, and in many cases, remote organization. But then also, what does that mean to 2021? How do we learn from 2020 and move that forward into being able to truly thrive, and not just 21, but in the years to come, and having this revelation of the magnitude of uncertainty that we saw in 2020. So Dan, I'm going to turn that over to you and thank you again for joining us. And I would just say, share what's on your heart as you've thought about this idea of moving from surviving to thriving. What are some things that our listeners could learn from what World Gospel Mission has seen, experienced?
Well, thank you, Jamie. It's good to be with you today. And, just delighted to be able to share anything from our insights that might be able to help anyone. Obviously, as in the type of ministry that we have, this was not the ministry that immediately got all of the attention when COVID hit. It's not the one that's immediately going and providing relief. And some of those organizations actually immediately began to thrive because people were interested in what they were doing and felt like, hey, this is an organization I can use to make that kind of impact. So we realized that right off the bat, we could kind of get left behind if we didn't specifically begin to make some decisions to keep ourselves in front of the partners that regularly partner with us to make our ministry happen. And so the first thing that we did, and the thing that we continue to focus on, is the area of communication, communicating with our partners, letting them know what's going on and making sure that they are up to date with what World Gospel Mission is doing currently. And so one of the things that we said to them, we stepped up our marketing plan. We actually increased our dollars that we were doing in the area of marketing. And the communication, the message we wanted to send out right away was WGM was alive and well, and that we were going to make it through this, that we would come out on the other side as an organization that was healthy and strong, because we didn't want them to have that sense that, maybe they won't make it.
Right.
Because people don't want to give to something if they don't think it's going to make it. Some people will stay with you and stay with you to the very end, but others are going to say, I'm going to give my money where it's going to make a lasting impression. So we began to step up our efforts in the area of communication immediately.
So as you did that, what's interesting with World Gospel Mission, because you are in so many countries, and we've talked about this all year, the increased desire and appetite for donors, for volunteers to have increased information and just connection, more so even this past year than what we've seen historically. And you're in multiple countries and you're experiencing the same thing. And I think that's really important for everybody to know that, whether I have partnerships in a different country or only in the United States, donors want to be connected and partners want to be connected. And that's not a geographic issue. We want to know that what we care about is going to survive, to your point. And your communication, it sounds like, was critical to that. What's the turning point that you saw then from moving from a place of, hey, we're going to survive this to, no, we're going to thrive in this?
We had in our communication strategy, one of the things that we said to our missionaries, let them know about the limitations that you're working with and that you have to work around, and begin to share with them the creative means by which you are continuing to serve people, in spite of the fact that you might be literally, because some of the countries we work in were much more strict on the limitations that were placed on people. They literally, one of the countries, they had to get permission from the police to even leave their home. And so how do you continue to have an impact in your community when you are, locked inside?
Right.
How do you take that limitation, what limitation you have, and then what's going to be the creative way that you're going to get out to the people who can't physically go, how are you going to do it? And then share those initiatives that you are working on, and let people know that you are still reaching people, you're still making an impact. And one of the things that we believe very strongly, in fact, I began to say this multiple times, this is going to be one of the greatest years that WGM has ever had, because when people are in need, that's when they are open to answers.
Right.
They're feeling hopeless. They're feeling all of the stress of life. And we've got the greatest answer out there. And so get it out there, let people hear it. And so we asked them, write emails to your supporters, send pictures, let them know what you're doing, how you're doing it, the creative methods that you're using. Let them know that their involvement is still critical. Connect with them by Zoom. Invite them into prayer meetings with you there on location. Also, we encourage them to reach out to their ministry partners and ask their ministry partners what things they were going through, what they might be suffering with, job loss or family members that are sick or whatever, that we care about you and we want to pray for you. Trying to create that two-way communication to keep people involved. And if you had any increased needs because of it, make sure people were aware of that. You needed to buy some new equipment in order to connect with people, whatever it might be, that you were there to serve the people and you were going to make sure that you found a way to do it regardless of the pandemic that was around you.
And so how are you taking that into planning for 21 and beyond?
We also recognize that there's some things you just aren't going to be able to do. So they're going to be put on hold. But the moment COVID begins to break loose, those things are going to be right back to the forefront of what you're doing. And so what we said is make sure you're not caught flat-footed once this thing is over, that you've just kind of wait. And then at that point, you'll start planning again. That's the point you'll start working on your strategies again. Be planning now for things that maybe you can't do today, but you're going to do 2 months from now or 6 months from now. Don't just put everything on hold. Use that time so that when COVID is over, it's full speed ahead on day one. And you're not just at that point beginning to try to ramp up things and get back into order. As well as what are some things that you can do now that you've never been able to do before? Maybe there are some strategies that just haven't been possible. One of the things that we're doing, there would not have been a lot of interest for it before, but we're actually doing virtual mission trips.
Okay.
We have for years taken people on short-term mission trips. We take large numbers of people that'll go for a week or two at a time. So we had our first, I think it was November, December, somewhere right in there, we had our first virtual mission trip. We had 20 people that went with us. They signed up. Things got mailed to their house that were unique to the country in which they were going, so they could have some things to, hold, smell, touch.
Right.
In that, we had each night, they were on Zoom and meeting with the missionaries, literally walked down the street with the missionaries and went into a local's home, experienced that. They had devotions together. It was all the things that you would normally see as part of a missions trip, but we did it in a virtual fashion. And so we tried to find things that, since our people couldn't leave the U.S. and fly to another country because of the restrictions, we took them there virtually. And so we're just looking for things that we could do that we haven't done on a regular basis. In fact, we're training 200 people in a country that we don't even have any missionaries in, but we suddenly were able to do it because the missionaries in the bordering country been wanting to go into that country, but now could do it virtually. So we're looking for things to do that haven't been possible, do them now, and then preparing for what's going to happen as soon as this thing begins to break loose.
So it sounds like, one, those are some really creative new strategies you've implemented. And what I'm hearing from you is that you basically have told your teams and your leadership to not lose sight of the things that we have deemed to be important in your strategy, but also it sounds like you're encouraging them to dream and to really rethink the norms that they've understood and tap into some inspiration and see what is there that maybe we've never experienced or seen before, which is phenomenal. And the other thing I would say, if I had to put my terminology on there, is not only are you encouraging them to dream, you're encouraging them to really become sense makers and understand what it is they're seeing in the environment and use that to shape a dream on what their strategy could look like in the countries and they're in and the things they're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. That's a great way to frame it up. I really felt like going into this, there were two distinct possibilities. We could pull back and just kind of go into a holding pattern and wait until this is over, because obviously with all the limitations, we can't do what we had always done. And so therefore, we just need to kind of ride it out. And then when we're on the other side of this, we'll go back to being who we are and get some things done. And I felt that strategy was obviously one that we'd lose a lot of time, opportunities in ministry. And it could have been a strategy that undermined us. And maybe we wouldn't have survived if we had taken that approach. But I felt the other opportunity was, the other way of approaching this was that this could be a real time of growth.
Right.
It could be a real time of repositioning and figuring out how to reconnect even better with our mission and vision, and to find some things that we asking ourselves the question all the time: how can we be better on the other side of this? What can we learn from this situation that will make us a better organization, will make us a better missionary, will make us a better at whatever we're doing? There's certain things that we learned in COVID we want to take with us.
Right.
We learned some lessons that are going to make us better on the other side. And so we feel like we're going to be a stronger organization when this is all over than what we were when we went into it. We felt like we had to make some very conscious decisions if that was going to be the reality, because it could easily turn out the other way.
Right. So from that, it seems if we want to take this and kind of bring this full circle, when I hear you so far in this idea of thriving as opposed to surviving. So one was you communicate, and you communicate well. And then number two, I'm hearing you say you let people dream and you encourage them to dream and really reframe what it is they're seeing. And then it sounds like the third is you're encouraging them. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have tried very much to remember that these are individuals that they also themselves are going through the stresses of COVID,
right?
And all of the limitations that are upon them. And what can we do, not just to connect with our partners, not just keep our strategy moving forward, but what can we do to really minister to our people and make sure that we don't forget that they've got personal individual needs that need some attention. And so we focused a lot of time on just trying to encourage our staff, celebrate our victories so that they have this sense that they're in the midst of something good and positive, even though there are some negative things that are going on around. Make sure that we are lifting them up in prayer and they know that they're being lifted up in prayer. We've met 2 times as a HQ staff, 2 times a week. We are meeting by Zoom. Everybody's coming. One's a chapel, the other times just a prayer and kind of sharing time. And we use that for an encouraging. And then for our whole missionary staff, we have done 4-hour-long prayer meetings where we invite every missionary to come and join us. And it's not some of the more traditional prayer meetings where, you pray for 5 minutes and talk for 55.
Right.
We try to get right into prayer. We might talk for 2 or 3 minutes on the front end and spend the rest of the time in prayer, just bringing the family together, encouraging and spending time together, encouraging one another. We tried to find extra money in our budget here at Christmas time and gave a COVID Christmas bonus. It significantly increased the amount that we gave at Christmas time. And we told them that the purpose of that was so that you might have the funds to find some time to get away, get a little bit of rest, get a little bit of relaxation. And we see light at the end of the tunnel, but we know we got probably another 3, 6, 8 months till we're completely out of this. So, get some rest, get some relaxation, get a little bit of restorative power to your body and mind so that as we set into the next few months of ministry. Right. So we've tried to be encouraging to our staff in that fashion.
Excellent. Just as a recap, communicate and dream and encourage. And the thing I want to share for just all of our listeners, the things that you have done in your organization. And you guys are considerably larger. Your budget size is mid 20 millions. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so if you can do it in a large organization like that, how much more can I do in an even smaller organization? And that's what I really love about World Gospel Mission is the nimbleness and the creativity that you operate in as an organization, and really always protecting the culture from becoming institutionalized or bureaucratic. And, the things that you've described today, encouraging people to dream and to become sense makers and to reframe the realities that they're in, that doesn't happen in a lot of organizations, big or small. And it is truly a great way to thrive, not just through a pandemic, but to thrive anytime as an organization. So Dan, I really appreciate those insights and so appreciate you coming on and just sharing your wisdom, sharing your heart about how you are building this movement. We so appreciate your time, Dan.
Well, you're very welcome. It was a pleasure being with you, and we're just grateful for all the blessings the Lord has given to our organization. And we're thankful for the relationship we've had with your organization. It's been a great blessing to us and has helped us in many ways.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Thanks for listening to the J.D. Levy & Associates Calibration Point Podcast. If you have comments or ideas for future episodes, please reach out using the contact page on our website, jdlevyassociates.com.